In a political landscape marked by increasing polarization, a recent Gallup survey has revealed that only a handful of prominent U.S. political figures enjoy more favorable than unfavorable ratings among the American public. As the nation grapples with significant political upheaval, the findings spotlighted deepening discontent and a call for stronger leadership in the Democratic Party as it faces the resurgence of Donald Trump. According to the survey conducted from January 21 to 27, 2025, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and Health and Human Services nominee Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are the only figures among 14 tested who hold favorable ratings exceeding their unfavorable scores by a margin of 7 to 8 percentage points. However, public awareness of these leaders is mixed. At least a quarter of Americans surveyed are unfamiliar with Rubio and Jeffries, pointing to a significant gap in recognition among the electorate. Conversely, many other political figures, including President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune, exhibit closely matched favorable and unfavorable ratings. Trump's approval stands at 48%, with an almost equal 50% disapproval, a reflection of his polarizing presence in American politics. Notably, Trump's rating is the highest among those surveyed, yet it is accompanied by one of the most substantial unfavorable responses, particularly from Democrats. The survey further indicates that political independents, a crucial voting bloc, generally maintain neutral or negative views of nearly all political figures. Their perceptions align more negatively with figures associated with the Democratic Party such as Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, while showing slightly more favorable views towards Kennedy, who has distanced himself from traditional party lines. Amidst this uncertain political climate, Democratic activists are increasingly vocal about their frustrations regarding the party's lack of assertive action against Trump and his administration. Following Trump's inauguration, lawmakers were temporarily barred from accessing USAID offices, triggering a visible pushback from Democrats who expressed their dissatisfaction with the current leadership and direction of the party. Senator Brian Schatz's decision to place a hold on all of Trump's State Department nominees signifies a shift toward a more combative stance, aligning with grassroots demands for stronger opposition. Activists, including those from the progressive group Indivisible, have noted a growing desire among constituents for Democratic leaders to adopt a bolder approach. Amanda Littman, the head of Run for Something, emphasized the need for Democratic leadership to clearly articulate their beliefs and priorities, stating the task of leadership is to identify who you are, what you believe, and how you're gonna move it forward. This sentiment resonates with grassroots organizations advocating for a more proactive democratic response to issues such as healthcare, education, and civil rights. Many activists argue that the party's current strategy of compromise and collaboration has led to a perception of weakness and indecision, further alienating voters who seek a clear alternative to Trump's policies. As the Democratic Party navigates this tumultuous period, it faces critical choices that could define its future. The recent Gallup findings serve as a reminder of the urgent need for a unified and principled stance that resonates with voters. The challenge lies not only in countering Trump's influence but also in revitalizing the party's identity and values to attract a broader base of support. Looking ahead, the dynamics within the Democratic Party will be closely watched as it grapples with these issues. With the 2024 electoral landscape shifting beneath its feet, leaders must find a way to articulate a compelling vision that both energizes their base and appeals to the broader electorate. Whether the party can successfully emerge from the shadows of compromise and assert itself as a formidable opponent remains to be seen, but the stakes have never been higher in the fight for the soul of American politics. In the ever-evolving landscape of American politics, the nomination of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for the position of Secretary of Health and Human Services has stirred significant debate, particularly among Republican senators. With the Senate Finance Committee set to vote on his nomination, Kennedy's bid may hang in the balance, influenced by a cautious GOP doctor whose support could prove crucial. Kennedy, who boasts a favorable rating of 46% according to a recent Gallup survey, has garnered attention not only for his family legacy but also for his controversial views, particularly regarding vaccines and health policies.
While he has received endorsement from former President Trump, his alignment with conservative principles remains questionable. As highlighted in an opinion piece from USA Today, critics argue that Kennedy's positions, especially his fluctuating stance on abortion and his skepticism towards vaccines, disqualify him from serving in a Republican administration. His lack of principles, troubling history on vaccines, and left-wing views should disqualify him from holding a position in a Republican administration, the article states. The political dynamics surrounding Kennedy's nomination are further complicated by the broader context of the GOP's agenda. Reports indicate that the party's plans to enact Trump's policies may be vulnerable, particularly as they navigate internal dissent and the varying opinions of its members. The Gallup survey reveals that while several prominent political figures receive mixed ratings, there is a notable dissatisfaction with the current state of leadership, with many Americans expressing neutral or negative views. This sentiment could embolden Republican senators to reconsider their support for Kennedy. Interestingly, the Gallup poll also reflects a dichotomy in public perception of political figures. While Kennedy and Secretary of State Marco Rubio enjoy favorable ratings among a small subset of the population, many others, including President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, are viewed unfavorably by significant portions of the electorate. Trump's favorable rating stands at 48%, closely matched by a 50% unfavorable rating, suggesting a polarized political climate that complicates consensus building within the party. As the Senate Finance Committee prepares to deliberate, the stakes are high. The committee's recommendation could determine Kennedy's fate, with at least one Republican senator reportedly hesitant to support him. The internal struggle within the GOP reflects broader questions about the party's identity. Critics argue that nominating individuals like Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard, both former Democrats, signals a departure from traditional conservative values. Looking ahead, the outcome of Kennedy's nomination may serve as a litmus test for the Republican Party's commitment to its conservative principles. As political maneuvering unfolds, the implications of this decision could reverberate far beyond the confines of the Department of Health and Human Services, influencing the party's trajectory and its ability to unify ahead of upcoming elections. In a time when public trust in government is waning, the GOP faces a critical moment to define its core values and the future direction of its leadership. In a pivotal moment for the Biden administration, the Senate Finance Committee has advanced Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination to lead the Department of Health and Human Services (HHS). The controversial vote, which concluded with a narrow 14-13 party line outcome, underscores the intense scrutiny surrounding Kennedy, particularly regarding his past statements on vaccines. His nomination now heads to the full Senate, where the prospects for his confirmation remain uncertain amid a backdrop of bipartisan concerns. Kennedy, the 71-year-old environmental lawyer and activist, previously sought the Democratic presidential nomination before endorsing Donald Trump in August. His nomination has drawn ire from both sides of the political spectrum due to his history of questioning vaccine safety, raising alarms among public health advocates. During his confirmation hearings, Kennedy faced tough questions from senators about his previous remarks, which Democrats characterized as harmful to public trust in vaccines. One of the key figures in the committee, Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, initially expressed reservations about Kennedy's suitability for the role due to his controversial views on vaccines. Cassidy, who was also a physician, was reportedly torn over his decision but ultimately chose to support the nomination following discussions with Kennedy and the White House. In a post on social media platform X, Cassidy stated, "I had very intense conversations with Bobby in the White House. With the serious commitments I've received from the administration, I will vote yes. However, the path to confirmation is fraught with challenges." Democrats on the committee unanimously opposed Kennedy's nomination, citing concerns that his past rhetoric and affiliations with anti-vaccine movements could undermine public health efforts. Senator Ron Wyden, the ranking Democrat, strongly criticized Kennedy's history, stating, "Mr. Kennedy has embraced conspiracy theories, quacks, charlatans, especially when it comes to the safety and efficacy of vaccines.
Adding to the scrutiny, Kennedy's recent comments during the hearings about the 2019 measles epidemic in Samoa have drawn condemnation from Samoan health officials. Dr. Alec Roma, Samoa's Director General of Health, labeled Kennedy's claims that some of the 83 deaths during the outbreak were not due to measles as a complete lie. The outbreak in Samoa, which was exacerbated by a significant drop in vaccination rates following a tragic incident involving improperly prepared vaccines, highlighted the critical importance of maintaining public trust in immunization. As Kennedy's nomination moves to the Senate floor, the dynamics shift further. Republican senators can afford to lose only 3 votes to confirm him without requiring Democratic support, which seems unlikely given the current climate. Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine have previously indicated a willingness to diverge from party lines, which could jeopardize Kennedy's chances. The confirmation process reflects not only the contentious political landscape but also the pressing issues surrounding public health and vaccination in the United States. As the Senate prepares for the final vote, stakeholders from various sectors, including health officials and public advocates, are closely monitoring the developments. The outcome will have significant implications for the Biden administration's ability to navigate public health policy, especially in the wake of ongoing vaccine hesitancy. Looking ahead, the future of Kennedy's nomination may set a precedent for how controversial figures are vetted for crucial health positions, especially in an era where misinformation can rapidly spread and impact public health decisions. The unfolding drama around this nomination serves as a reminder of the delicate balance required in fostering public trust while addressing the complexities of health governance in a divided political environment. As the dust settles following the tumultuous 2024 U.S. elections, the political landscape in Washington is undergoing a significant transformation. With the Republican Party regaining control of not just the presidency but also both chambers of Congress, the implications for legislative priorities and governance are profound. This shift has prompted a flurry of activities among lawmakers and public affairs professionals alike as they adapt to the new dynamics shaping Capitol Hill. In the House of Representatives, all 435 seats were contested, yet as of early February the exact makeup remained uncertain. Democrats claimed 215 seats while Republicans held 218, just shy of the 218 required for a majority. This narrow margin heralds a period of intense negotiation and coalition building as both parties prepare to navigate the challenges of a divided House. The recent election saw a total of 17 House seats change hands, with Republicans flipping 8 and Democrats 9, illustrating the fluid nature of voter sentiment and party allegiance. The broader implications of the elections were underscored by the victory of former President Donald Trump, who was set to be sworn in for a second term on January 20, 2025. Trump's return to the White House not only solidifies Republican dominance but also sets the stage for potential shifts in policy across various sectors, including healthcare, immigration, and taxation. Notably, the Republican majority in the Senate, now at 53 seats compared to 47 for the Democrats, empowers them to dictate the legislative agenda and drive significant policy changes. In this environment, public affairs professionals are faced with the challenge of recalibrating their strategies to effectively influence policy outcomes. As the balance of power shifts, understanding the key players within the new congressional landscape becomes crucial. Organizations and lobbyists are urged to leverage updated congressional directories to identify and connect with decision-makers who will be pivotal in shaping legislation. Among those navigating this complex terrain is U.S. Representative Jason Crow, a Democrat from Colorado. Crow, who has served on the For Country Caucus, a bipartisan group of military veterans, advocates for collaboration across party lines, emphasizing the importance of bipartisanship in a time characterized by deep political divides. The Veterans Caucus offers a pathway for dialogue and cooperation essential for addressing the pressing issues facing our nation, Crow remarked, signaling hope for collaborative governance despite Republican control. The 2024 election results also highlighted a notable trend among California lawmakers, where nearly 1 in 3 members of the state's congressional delegation are alumni of the University of California system. This connection to a prominent educational institution underscores the importance of educational backgrounds in shaping future political leaders. Representative Vince Vaughn, who recently secured a full term in Congress, credited his UC education for fostering his passion for public service. "My experiences at UCLA instilled in me the values of civic engagement and advocacy that drive my work today," Vaughn stated, illustrating the link between education and political involvement. As the newly sworn-in Congress prepares to tackle an ambitious legislative agenda, the Republicans' control over key committees will further influence the direction of policymaking. With figures such as Representative Jim Jordan likely to lead the House Judiciary Committee and Senate Republicans poised to steer critical committees like Finance and Judiciary, the focus will undoubtedly shift toward conservative priorities. In conclusion, as Washington embarks on this new chapter, the interplay between party control and legislative action will be closely scrutinized. The coming months will reveal whether bipartisan efforts can emerge amid a predominantly Republican landscape and how public affairs strategies will evolve to address the distinct challenges ahead. As stakeholders brace for a dynamic and potentially contentious congressional term, the emphasis will remain on building relationships, understanding local constituencies, and leveraging educational ties to advocate for effective governance. The road ahead promises to be as complex as it is consequential. With far-reaching implications for both policy and the American political fabric, the landscape of American law is set to undergo significant changes as a series of landmark decisions from the Supreme Court and federal courts reshape long-standing regulations. Recent rulings have ignited intense debates about the boundaries of Second Amendment rights, the interplay of religious freedom and public policy, and the implications of expanding governmental powers. These developments reflect not only a shift in judicial interpretation but also a potential recalibration of the political and social fabric in the United States. One of the most pivotal cases to emerge is the recent ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, which struck down a federal ban on handgun sales to individuals aged 18 to 20. In a 29-page opinion authored by Judge Edith H. Jones, the court determined that the Second Amendment protects the rights of young adults to possess firearms. This ruling overturns regulations that have stood since 1968 and places the issue squarely on the path to the Supreme Court. The court's decision hinged on the historical context of gun rights in America, invoking the Militia Act of 1792, which mandated that young men provide their own firearms for militia service. The implications of this ruling are profound. It not only challenges existing federal laws but also sets a precedent that may encourage similar legal challenges across the country. Gun rights advocates, including the president of the Firearms Policy Coalition, hailed the decision as a landmark victory against what they deem an unconstitutional age-based restriction. On the other hand, critics warned that easing access to firearms for younger individuals could exacerbate gun violence, particularly in light of recent tragedies involving young shooters. In tandem with these developments, the Supreme Court is grappling with another significant issue: the balance between religious freedom and anti-discrimination policies. A case involving a charter school's decision to exclude a religiously affiliated group from its campus has drawn national attention. This case will test the limits of the First Amendment as the court weighs the right to free exercise of religion against the principles of equality and non-discrimination. As noted in a statement from a legal analyst, the outcome could set a precedent that defines the extent to which religious organizations can operate within public spaces without compromising anti-discrimination laws. Further complicating the judicial landscape, discussions are underway regarding the potential expansion of executive power under the Trump administration, as the Supreme Court considers cases that could redefine the powers of the presidency. Legal experts are observing closely. Some analysts suggest that the current composition of the court may be more amenable to arguments favoring expanded executive authority, which could have long-lasting repercussions on the balance of power in Washington. These cases reflect a broader trend within the judicial system where historical precedent is increasingly invoked to challenge contemporary regulations. The Fifth Circuit's reliance on the historical tradition test for gun rights illustrates a shift towards interpreting the Constitution through a historical lens. This approach has garnered both support and criticism as it raises questions about the applicability of centuries-old laws to modern society. As these pivotal cases progress, they promise to shape American legal principles for years to come. The interplay of gun rights, religious freedom, and executive power will not only influence court rulings but also spark public discourse and political action. Observers are left to ponder how these legal developments will unfold and what implications they will have for the fabric of American democracy. With the Supreme Court at the helm, the coming months will be crucial in determining the trajectory of these critical issues.